Now it's that time once again. Nintendo releases a new Zelda title that might be canon, but we will never really know. And after playing the game's demo, seeing all the trailers, and playing parts of the game, I have to talk about one important thing seen in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity: the time travel. And no, I'm not going to talk about my opinion on the story, or whether it was a good choice to include something like that. Also, there will be no spoilers in this video whatsoever, so don't worry. What I want to talk about today is how our little Eggman pulled off the time travel trick and what its origin is. Because this wasn't the first time that this kind of time travel was seen in the game. So let's dive right in so we can figure out how all of this is even possible. Now, from the very beginning of the game, we can see that time travel is a thing. Heck, it's even in the opening cutscene. Here we basically see the end of the war with the Great Calamity, where the forces of Hyrule lost to evil. But this time we see something different, with the Egg Guardian activating and doing something quite strange right after. He manages to open a time portal which has Sheikah writing on it that says "Open Gate of Time." Now he ends up going through, which takes him all the way back to the beginning of the whole conflict. Back then, Calamity Ganon hadn't arrived yet, and the forces of good were preparing for his grand arrival. And now, all of a sudden, the Egg Boy was there to save the day. Well, sort of. He does his best at least. But he's still just an egg. But all of that doesn't matter. We aren't talking about that today. What we want to look at is the technology and magic behind the time travel. How did all of this work, and what did the Sheikah use in order to make all of this possible in such a small machine? Now, one thing that stands out right away when you see the portal in the opening cutscene is that it kind of looks like the one seen in Skyward Sword. In some shots you can even see it has the same gear-like look. So let's start by looking at that. In Skyward Sword, the Gates of Time are powerful magic gates that allow those who pass through it to travel through time. And only 2 of them can be found in this game, and Hyrule in general. There's one at the Temple of Time, and another at the Sealed Temple. They look like a giant gear being spun by 2 smaller gears in both upper corners, with numbers on the teeth of the main gear. The triforce can be seen in the center of it as well, surrounded by the Crest of Din, the Crest of Nehru, and the Crest of Faeror, and what appears to be a musical notation. Now, when the gate is touched, a spiral of hollow blue gear shapes appear in order to indicate that it's open, and the original glassy surface reappears when it's closed. Now, these odd gates of time were most likely created by the god Hylia, who later on became the mortal known as Zelda. Now, to be honest, only the one located in the Temple of Time was constructed by Hylia herself, while the other is a bit of a mystery. In Skyward Sword, these gates are used quite a lot. They are crucial for the entire story. However, they also get destroyed a lot throughout the story. For example, when Zelda and Impa escape from Girahim by using the gates, and once they are through it, they completely destroy it. There's nothing left of it but rubble. And the second gate that is located at the sealed ground is destroyed at the very end of the game, so no one could use one of these again. Now, while we can clearly see that these gates are no more and are also different from the ones seen in Age of Calamity, I think there's a link between the two. You can see in certain shots that the 2 time gates look incredibly similar in a way. However, there's one major difference. One of them is made by the goddess Hylia, drawing power from the golden goddesses and possibly even the Triforce, while the other is clearly made using the might of the Sheikah technology. We even see this when looking at the letters on the portal, which are clearly of Sheikah origin. So, by the looks of it, the ancient Sheikah of the past mastered the art of time travel, creating a device that is capable of doing it, which is absolutely insane. But as we all know, the Sheikas from 10,000 years ago were incredibly gifted in general. They created wonderful machines. In the end, this ancient Sheikah civilization created many examples of highly advanced technology, and as such, they play a very important role in the game. For example, the Sheikah Slate, which appears to be a tablet computer, possessing an assortment of functions like a map, camera, the power to freeze targets in time, and more. And another good example is the Guardians, which are straight up war machines that are armed with a laser similar to that of the BMOs. And there are even smaller ones that wield energy blades or fly around. Clearly back in the day, those guys were nuts. and could do almost anything, even defeating Ganondorf using these wonderful machines. Now in the end, people started to fear them, and so they had to get rid of these mighty devices, because otherwise there would be a problem. But clearly it shows off that nothing was off the table for them. And by the looks of it, another thing that they pulled off was time travel, with this robot being able to create a time portal that's similar to the one seen in Skyward Sword. However, this time they made it using their own magic and technology. However, how did they pull this off? As you can imagine, time travel is complex, and not an easy thing to do. In previous games, only the gods or artifacts made by them were able to do something like this. For example, the Master Sword and the Pedestal of Time, which allowed Link to travel through time as well, either going forward 7 years or going back 7 years. However, we have never seen a mere mortal race like the Sheikah obtain enough power to pull something like this off. Only with the help of the gods, it was possible. But clearly the Sheikah learned something from seeing the Gates of Time and other time travel artifacts throughout the years. However, the big question now is, how in Hylia's name did the Sheikah pull this off? What miracle did they create? Well, it's possible that the Gate of Time, as well as the one the Sheikah made, were made out of refined timeshift stones. They are purple crystalline stones found in various areas of Lanayru Desert, and when struck, they cause a temporal shift within an enclosed circular area, allowing everything to appear as it did in the exact same spot hundreds of years prior. Now these things were being mined in Skyward Sword, and they are found in 3 forms. The unrefined crystals, which have a clump of rock around their base, refined timeshift stones, which are larger and more rounded in shape, as well as having a larger area of effect, and timeshift orbs, which are small portable timeshift stones that Link can pick up, throw, roll, and carry with him, allowing the normally stationary effect to be moved around at will. Clearly the people of Hyrule, including the Sheikah, knew about this powerful element even way back in those times. So they must know about them in Breath of the Wild. And while being activated, the second Gate of Time initially consists of a series of cube structures, which are covered in markings similar to those on the timeshift stones. And while the gate is being assembled, its pieces are also shown to rotate and fit together in a very specific manner, likely as a way to redirect and focus the fields normally given off by the timeshift stones. This could be what allows the gate to open a portal back through time in a specific area, as opposed to transporting everything in a certain radius back through time. And maybe, in time, the Sheikah reverse engineered this technology, created by Hylia apparently, and did more research on these old gates and the materials used to make them. And so in time they were able to make a smaller, more portable device that could do a similar thing. Which is quite insane, because then they would be more powerful and knowledgeable than even a demigod like Hylia. But it does seem to be the case. It seems like they combined the timeshift stones together with a smaller version of a guardian robot to make a portable time travel machine. They probably used a combination of different stones with certain magic runes on them. And using those, the robot could put them in a specific order internally to create a portal right in front of him, allowing it to travel to quite specific moments in time. But there's also another way he could have done this. If we look at the first cutscene of the game again, we can see that the portal only opens after the Egg Boy played a little tune. After this, the portal opened. So it could be that music also plays a role in opening them, which could mean that it works like the Ocarina of Time in a way. Although later on in the game, during a huge turning point, we can see it doesn't always have to do that in order to open them. Now this robot was probably made just in case. There was a real possibility that the Sheikah from 10,000 years ago would lose after all. So they needed a backup plan, which turned out to be time travel. I mean, the gods have used it a million times, so why not copy them? I mean, with it, they could reverse everything and try it again. And eventually they would beat Ganon, even though it could take multiple tries. Now, we can't be sure if this is really the case, however, it does make a lot of sense. And if this is completely true, then the Sheikah can pull off almost anything. They are already able to make gigantic mechanical machines like the Divine Beasts. And now we have found out, no matter how they pulled it off, that they can also create a time travel machine. Clearly they are crazy powerful. And maybe the Hylians' fear of the Sheikah was valid in some ways. Just look at what they can do. Back then, they were certainly more powerful than the Hyrule Kingdom. And even if they didn't want to go for all-out war in order to grab all the power in the kingdom, they could also just not help them. That way, the King of Hyrule and the entire royal family and all the citizens would be screwed regardless. Because they don't have the same technology and power as the Sheikah have. But let me know in the comments what you think, and what I potentially missed. Because as you can imagine, I don't know everything. Thank you so much for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button and the bell, and leave a comment, naughty or nice.